Welcome back. We're now delighted to be joined over the telephone by Dr. Maisa Shawi, Professor of Public Health, Cairo University. Dr. Maisa, good afternoon to you, ma'am.
Good afternoon.
Thank you very much.
To you, Angie, and to our viewers.
Thank you so much for joining us, Doctor. Now, the Pfizer vaccination has been approved internationally to be given to students from the ages of 13 to 18, and Egypt will be doing the same. What does this mean, Doctor, with regards to the vaccination campaign?
Well, this means that we are adding a new age category for the teenagers here in Egypt, and we are expanding the target to be vaccinated. And this would go very well for inducing the herd immunity in a way or another, and for protecting school children and their family against the propagation of the virus.
Right.
And this is it's a policy, it's a health policy that's in alignment with the international research and with the recommendations of the WHO. So we are aiming at rescuing families and the most vulnerable people, of course, with expansion of the target to be vaccinated.
Right. Dr. Maisa, so this is a very good step if we're going to get children from the ages of 13 to 18 vaccinated. How about children that are under 13 years old? Are there any steps worldwide to guarantee or look for a vaccination that is, I believe China is giving even younger than 13 years old shots.
Yes, this policy is to be addressed within the capacities of each country. And expansion has to go vertically from the bigger age to the younger age. So we are on the correct path for following international regulations. And I think by the time we've fully covered the teenagers between 13 and 18 years, we'll go to younger ages in the next step. I believe that too.
Yes, doctor. So lots of talk has been, said that after you receive your vaccine, even if you get the coronavirus, it's not as severe. You do not get admitted into hospitals, etc. Could you tell us about the benefits of the vaccination, the importance of getting vaccinated, even for the teens?
Well, whatever the kind of the vaccine that we are getting, and there is a wide variety available right now worldwide, the vaccine acts on the immune system, provocating the immune system to release the antiviral antibodies and to make the human body prepared for the fight when the real virus comes in. So what we get as health outcomes is that lesser people, when they become infected with the virus, they show any symptoms, and a lesser proportion of them would get like a mild form of the disease that's also stimulating the immune system to produce more and more even antiviral antibodies. And research has also proved that people who are vaccinated, who are fully vaccinated, would get mild disease. Lesser proportion would need hospitalization, and a much lesser proportion of them needs intensive care units and respirators and so on, as compared to the non-vaccinated group. So we encourage all the people to go after the vaccination, to get registered, to get their code numbers, to go and receive their full vaccination schedule, and to keep themselves prompted very well for any kind of booster vaccinations that's going to be issued by a health policy. And when we tell people, please do that, we are also telling them, take very good care of the preventative measures and be aligned whether you are partially or fully vaccinated, that you have to keep the distancing, the hand wash techniques, and the hand sanitization.
Yes.
And needless to say, if there is a non-urgent need to go into a crowd, please don't go to this crowd anymore until things get settled.
Yes, it's very important, that people remember that, the precautionary measures are actually the first line of defense. Social distancing, wearing your mask, sanitizing areas, keeping out of crowded areas. These actions are even, more important to prevent,
This is true, and I'm afraid that worldwide people think that once they are vaccinated, they can take off their mask, and they shouldn't keep an eye on the preventative measures. This is totally wrong, and would rather confirm that we have to keep all preventative measures and access, plus being vaccinated.
Right. Dr. Maisa, let's talk a bit about the different kinds of vaccines. There's talk that if you have gotten a certain vaccination, you could be viable for a booster shot from another brand of vaccine. Is this correct? And how?
This is really very correct, and it's been there because research has proven that the efficacy is much higher, and it's imparting or it's propagating more and more immune response, and it goes with an international regulation as well. It doesn't go like hectic, like people they think that this is going to be good. No, this has been proven by research and it's been published, and it's being one of the recommendations of the WHO, and that within the varieties of certain vaccines, you can take a third and fourth dose from another one, specific one, of course. And we expect even more in the near future because this pandemic is not expected to end all of a sudden or very soon. It's going to take some time until it fades and tapers out. So whatever the recommendations that you are getting from valid, published, and accepted research, we have to follow.
Yes, indeed. Now, doctor, when would we reach what they call herd immunity, and what does this mean if we reach this?
The target for herd immunity is that at least 2/3 of the population gets vaccinated or gets vaccinated and catches the disease. So we don't want people to suffer from the disease itself. So in very good hands, we want 2/3, 66% of the population to get vaccinated. And by this time, the propagation of the virus is expected to be cut short in the community, and we expect the virus to disappear or to become a mild endemic virus like the influenza seasonal virus.
Do you see this, when do you see this is happening, doctor? Like now we have the winter season is just around the corner, or it's officially begun. And lots of people take, for example, the influenza vaccination to help them, you know, get over the winter flus, etc. When do you see this becoming the situation with the coronavirus, where it will also be a seasonal infection?
There are a lot of barriers for reaching the herd immunity. One of them is that not all the people are motivated to get the vaccine, and number two, it's the universal distribution of the vaccine in between countries and within different regions in one and the same country is so variable that even though people might want to get vaccinated, but they cannot reach for the vaccination. Here in Egypt, we are making things much easier by helping the people to getting registered and allowing the vaccinations right now in the governmental institutes, in clubs, in the spheres of the Ministry of Youth. So we are trying to outstretch the vaccination points in Egypt all over, but still there is some form of resistance in between the people that they refrain from getting vaccinated. With some legislations like all students wouldn't be admitted to their schools or to universities unless vaccinated. Governmental employees must be vaccinated before the end of November. I think the vaccination coverage is going to get improved, and I think that this is going to increase the uptake of the vaccine.
Absolutely. And Egypt is also one of the few countries in Africa that is producing one of the vaccinations. What does this mean for our vaccination drive?
This is very good for making the vaccine available. When we are a country that's producing its own vaccine, or even a part or a percentage of it, this enhances the coverage and makes the availability even much better. And I think this is one very good aspect for Egypt as compared to other countries.
Absolutely. Dr. Maisa, if I may, one final question. Lots of people speak about the effects of the after infection of the coronavirus. Lots of people have different symptoms, struggle from different issues after they've contracted the coronavirus, etc. For example, lung damage, loss of sense and taste, etc., etc. How do these issues become, prioritized and treated? And does the vaccine differ in the post-infection phase?
Well, we call this the post-COVID syndrome. And this post-COVID syndrome is so variable in between the people according to the predilection of the virus for their organs. So some people would suffer actually from disturbed lung functions. People would suffer from very thrombi in their bodies or clots. And some people suffer from more of the nervous system being affected. This variation is actually very individualized. However, now physicians got to know that there is the so-called post-COVID syndrome, and when the patient is healed from the acute phase of the virus, he needs to be followed up for a period between 3 and 6 months. To ensure that all body systems have returned back to normal, and we shouldn't keep our guards down until we pass the first 6 months after the virus has ended.
Right, so this is also a very important piece of information. I'd like to thank you very, very much, Dr. Maisa Shawki, Professor of Public Health, Cairo University. Thank you so much, ma'am, for your insights and your time. And now another short break, and we'll be right back. Do stay tuned.